The Galactic Council had never seen anything like this before. A species once dismissed as nothing more than a fragile curiosity was now sending a message to the most powerful political body in the galaxy. A message that would ignite a firestorm of panic and disbelief. The transmission, a simple audio clip, played across the council chambers, cold and unyielding. "We reject all peace talks unless our terms are met." The words rang through the room, their finality vibrating across every delegate's consciousness. For the first time in history, the galaxy's most advanced civilizations were confronted with a species whose arrogance was as audacious as it was unprecedented: humanity. Alien representatives shifted uneasily in their seats, murmuring amongst themselves. The message had come from Earth, an upstart planet that had managed to gain a foothold in the galactic arena after decades of rapid technological advancements. What had once been a barely noticeable speck in the cosmos was now a force to be reckoned with. Still, no one had ever expected Earth to speak with such brazen defiance. The transmission was brief, almost cruelly so. The human diplomat, a figure now synonymous with Earth's hardline stance, had delivered it personally. The human leader's voice, calm and unwavering, was the only sound in the silence that followed. "We will no longer tolerate being the subject of your mercy or your condescension. We stand as equals or not at all." The statement sent ripples of uncertainty through the council. For centuries, the Galactic Council had presided over the fate of thousands of species, imposing peace, order, and control over the galaxy's most distant and diverse empires. Earth had been an insignificant player, but it had always played by the rules, until now. The council chambers erupted into chaos, alien voices clashing in a cacophony of confusion, outrage, and disbelief. Some delegates clamored for immediate retaliation. Others argued for more diplomacy. The Andromeda Collective, a federation of species once thought to hold unparalleled power, called for a joint fleet to be mobilized, demanding the humans be shown their place. The Volunari, a warlike race from the Outer Rim, suggested immediate annihilation, citing humanity's reckless insolence. But the most surprising reaction came from the Zaltari, a peaceful race known for their highly logical minds. They remained silent for the longest time, their representative looking stoically at the projections. Then, in a voice that cut through the escalating uproar, the Zaltari ambassador spoke. "We have underestimated them. Perhaps we still do." The room fell into stunned silence as the implications of those words sank in. The Zaltari had always been the voice of reason in the council, their decisions shaping the galaxy's policies for millennia. If they, of all races, were now acknowledging that humanity had exceeded all expectations, then the other factions had no choice but to reconsider their approach. The humans' rejection of the council's terms was not simply a diplomatic challenge. It was a declaration of war, one that would force the galaxy to reconsider the balance of power it had long taken for granted. The human delegation had made their position clear. There would be no compromises. Earth's leadership had watched as the council manipulated, bullied, and threatened weaker species into submission for centuries. Humanity would not stand for such tactics, not when they had the power to break free from their control. And so, the council found itself faced with a dilemma it had never anticipated. How would the galaxy respond to humanity's sudden rise, its unyielding demand for respect? In the ensuing hours, representatives from every corner of the galaxy met in emergency sessions, drawing up plans to either bring Earth to heel or, if they were wise, acknowledge their new position in the galaxy's hierarchy. But one thing was certain: Earth's message was just the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again. As the council continued to argue, the protagonist, the human diplomat who had sent the dangerous message, sat in a secure, private room, watching the unfolding chaos with a calmness that belied the immense responsibility now resting on their shoulders. The galaxy had no idea what it was about to face. But humanity was done waiting for permission. They were done being the galaxy's second-class citizens. And they were ready to make the galaxy's most powerful factions feel the consequences of underestimating Earth. The message from Earth was clear: But the consequences of rejecting the Galactic Council's offer were just beginning to unfold. Within hours, a sleek, high-tech ship carrying the Council's most elite assassins entered Earth's atmosphere. Their mission was simple: silence the human leadership and restore the balance of power in the galaxy. They never expected to fail. The assassins, chosen for their unparalleled skills in covert operations and assassination, arrived with an air of certainty. For them, this was nothing more than another routine assignment. A quick strike, a few dead humans, and the galaxy would breathe easy again. But they underestimated one thing: Earth had never been a planet of easy targets. The human leadership knew something was amiss the moment the assassin's ship entered Earth's orbit. The detection system, designed and refined by the brightest minds on the planet, picked up anomalies small but significant in the ship's entry pattern. The threat was real. As the assassins prepared for their landing, a fleet of human warships, cloaked by advanced technology, positioned themselves around the world's atmosphere, hidden in plain sight. Earth was ready. The traps had been set. On the ground, the human military went into full lockdown. Every communication channel, every defense system, every satellite array had been scrambled and mobilized. A specialized task force led by Earth's top strategist, Commander Elias Kane, was on high alert. Kane had been among the first to recognize humanity's potential on the galactic stage, and now, with Earth's future hanging in the balance, he wasn't about to let anyone take it from them. The assassins, landing discreetly in the heart of a major human city, moved with deadly efficiency. Their mission was to be quick, surgical, eliminate the top diplomats and military leaders. No one could know they were there. But as they approached their target, the silence of the city around them seemed off. It was too quiet. Kane's voice crackled through the comms, calm and collected. Deploy the drones. Now. Within seconds, hundreds of surveillance drones that had been silently circling the area sprang into action, buzzing overhead like a swarm of bees. The assassins, trained to evade detection, suddenly found themselves surrounded by eyes. Everywhere they turned, there was a camera, a sensor, or a human soldier waiting in the wings. They moved faster, attempting to infiltrate deeper into the city. But the deeper they went, the more they realized something was wrong. Earth's defenses weren't just reactive, they were predictive. Every move they made seemed to be anticipated. Every turn, every step was a calculated risk. The first trap was set in a narrow alley. As the lead assassin rounded the corner, a high-pitched whine filled the air, followed by an explosion that sent him crashing into a wall. He was incapacitated, but not dead. The human forces had already moved in, securing the area before he could make a sound. The assassin's communication system buzzed to life. The team leader spoke, his voice calm, betraying none of the panic he was feeling. Abort the mission. Regroup at extraction point. But there would be no extraction. The moment they made the decision to pull back, the ground beneath them shook as a series of pulse bombs exploded, sealing off all escape routes. They were trapped. It wasn't long before human soldiers, armed with advanced, experimental weaponry, closed in. The assassins fought back with the brutal efficiency they were known for, but they were not prepared for the sheer ferocity of Earth's tactics. Every move they made was countered with precision, trap after trap, ambush after ambush. Commander Kane watched the operation unfold from a command center miles away, his mind calculating the next step. He wasn't just defending Earth. He was sending a message. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Not now, not ever. The assassins, who had been trained to handle galactic elite forces, found themselves overwhelmed by Earth's ingenuity. They had never encountered such a combination of technology and adaptability. With each new trap, with each new tactic, the assassins found themselves out of their depth. Earth was not just reacting, they were anticipating. Within hours, every assassin had either been captured or killed. They had been too confident in their superiority, assuming that the humans would crumble in the face of such a high-stakes mission. Instead, they were left with nothing but failure and a broken reputation. As Commander Kane sat back in his chair, staring at the reports streaming in, he couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction. The message was loud and clear. The Galactic Council had sent its best, and they had failed. But this was only the beginning. The assassins were just the first wave in a much larger game. And Earth was ready to play. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's resolve, but it would not do so again. The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The assassins, the best the Council had to offer, had failed. A deadly silence swept over the Council chambers, as its leaders grappled with the shock of their failure. The galaxy's balance of power was shifting, and humanity was no longer just a nuisance. It was a serious threat. On Earth, the failure of the assassins was met with a grim satisfaction. Commander Elias Kane, the architect of humanity's defense, knew that this was only the beginning. The Council would not sit idle for long. Retaliation was inevitable. But Kane's confidence in humanity's resolve had only grown. Earth had sent a message to the galaxy: we will not be silenced. The human military, freshly emboldened by their victory, began to prepare for what was to come. The assassins may have been defeated, but the Council would respond with far more than covert agents. Earth's intelligence had already intercepted cryptic transmissions detailing a fleet being assembled, one unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It would be a show of force, an attempt to crush Earth's defiance before it could spread further. But humanity wasn't about to cower. In the darkened war rooms of Earth's military command, Kane paced. The failure of the assassination attempt was a small victory, but Kane knew the true battle had yet to come. The next wave would be much bigger and much more dangerous. The Council would not make the same mistake twice. Humanity had underestimated its enemies for too long, and now the tables were turning. For centuries, the galaxy had assumed humans were too weak, too divided, and too naive to challenge the status quo. Earth had been a backwater planet, no more. Kane's recent tactics had shown the galaxy that humans could think, plan, and fight as effectively as any of the galaxy's most advanced races. But the next battle would require more than just ingenuity. It would take everything humanity had, every resource, every ally, every strategy. Earth was about to face an enemy unlike any it had encountered. The first signs of the Council's impending attack came just after dawn. An entire fleet, massive and well-coordinated, was moving toward Earth at unimaginable speed. Their armada was sleek, powerful, and ready for war. The Council had learned from its previous failure. This time, they would not rely on assassins. Kane's heart raced as he reviewed the fleet's composition: battlecruisers, dreadnoughts, and dozens of support vessels. A full-scale invasion force. "They'll hit us hard," Kane muttered. But he wasn't about to back down. This was their moment to prove that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. And they were ready. Earth's defenses had already been bolstered. New warships designed to outmatch the Council's fleets. Advanced weapon systems that would level the playing field. It was time to test them. Earth's new fleet had been built in secret, its existence known only to a select few. It had been designed with one purpose: to fight back against the overwhelming power of the Galactic Council. Kane had always believed that humanity's strength lay in its adaptability, its ability to turn adversity into opportunity. Now, that belief would be put to the ultimate test. The human fleet, which had once been an underdog in the grand chessboard of galactic warfare, was about to make its presence felt. The question was no longer whether they could defeat the Council. It was whether the galaxy would even recognize the scale of the change that was unfolding. As the Council's fleet approached Earth's atmosphere, its commanders believed they had the upper hand. They expected the humans to be frightened, to surrender or flee. What they didn't realize was that Earth had been preparing for this moment for years. The first wave of the human fleet surged into space, powered by the same resolve that had fueled their defiance. The ships were faster, sleeker, and far more advanced than anything the Council had encountered. They were equipped with weapons that could tear apart even the most formidable alien defenses. As the two fleets collided, the stars above Earth became a battlefield. But this wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a declaration. Humanity was no longer going to hide. The Council had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. Kane's voice rang through the comms, calm but fierce. "Engage the enemy. Show them who we are." The first salvo was launched. Explosions rippled through the void, the light of distant stars obscured by the carnage. The war for Earth had begun, and it would be humanity's fight to win. The full force of the Galactic Council's fleet had descended on Earth, but the human defenses were ready. This was no longer a fight for survival. It was a fight to dominate. Commander Elias Kane stood at the helm of humanity's newly minted flagship, the Resilience, watching as the enemy's ships slowly emerged from the shadows of deep space. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's most powerful forces were facing a human enemy they could not simply dismiss. Earth's military had been underestimated for too long, and now, with the full might of their own fleet in space, humanity was preparing to prove just how wrong the Council had been. Earth's fleet wasn't just a show of strength, it was a symbol. Each ship was a testament to the ingenuity and determination of a species that had gone from primitive to advanced in the blink of galactic time. The Resilience at the heart of it all was a marvel of engineering, a ship designed to outmaneuver and overpower even the most advanced alien technology. But Kane knew it wasn't the ship alone that would win this war. It was the will of the people aboard it. The Council's fleet was formidable. There was no doubt about that. Battlecruisers, dreadnoughts, and carriers. But humanity had built its ships differently. Instead of relying on brute force, Earth's ships were designed for speed and adaptability. Earth's military doctrine had evolved beyond the tactics the Council had relied on for centuries. Humans fought with a kind of recklessness that made them unpredictable, and that was exactly what the Council had failed to account for. Kane's voice crackled through the comms, calm and unwavering. All ships, engage at will. Don't let them get comfortable. The first volley of laser fire lit up the void, followed by a hail of plasma bolts. The battle had begun in earnest. Humanity's ships moved with a grace and precision that defied expectations. They didn't engage head-on like the Council had anticipated. Instead, they flanked, feinted, and retreated when necessary, pulling the Council's ships into traps. The Resilience itself danced across the battlefield, striking with pinpoint accuracy before slipping back into the shadows of space. The Council's forces, accustomed to overwhelming superiority, found themselves reeling. They expected Earth to fold under the weight of a superior fleet, but that expectation was shattered as humanity's tactics unfolded like a well-planned symphony of destruction. Earth's fleet wasn't just fighting to defend its home, it was fighting for the right to exist as a force in the galaxy, and that desperation was woven into every move. Humanity's ships were equipped with weapons that were still in experimental phases when the war began, and they proved to be a game-changer. Energy shields that could absorb enemy fire, ion-based weapons that disrupted alien technology, and advanced targeting systems that allowed the human fleet to target weak points on enemy vessels before the Council's forces even knew what hit them. On the ground, Earth's military commanders were directing the action with the same precision and foresight. Ground forces held the line against alien invasions with a mix of tactics and sheer willpower. Alien forces, who had once considered Earth a backwater planet, now found themselves facing soldiers who fought with the desperation of a species that had nothing left to lose. Commander Kane watched the battle unfold from the command center aboard the Resilience, his mind calculating the next steps with military precision. Despite the chaos of the battle, he remained calm. His plan was unfolding exactly as he had envisioned. The Council's arrogance had been their downfall. Now, it was time to finish what they had started. The tide began to turn when humanity launched its final offensive, an all-out assault on the heart of the Council's fleet. The Resilience led the charge, its weapons tearing into the heart of the Council's flagship, the Immaculata. It was a brutal, coordinated strike that crippled the alien fleet in a matter of hours. Earth's forces, with their unwavering resolve, had shattered the invincible facade of the Council. But victory came at a cost. The battle was long, and the human fleet had suffered its share of losses. The Resilience itself was heavily damaged, its hull breached in several areas, but it remained operational, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Kane's face remained stoic as he gave the orders to continue the fight, refusing to let the cost of war slow their advance. As the Council's ships began to retreat, humanity's fleet moved in to secure their position. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. The Council had underestimated Earth's ability to defend itself, and now they had to come to terms with the fact that humanity was no longer a subjugated species. It was a rising power in the galaxy, and it had no intention of playing by the rules. For the first time in galactic history, the status quo had been shattered. The Council's hold over the galaxy was slipping, and Earth was no longer a mere player in the galactic theater. It was the new axis around which the universe would turn. Kane stood at the helm of the Resilience, watching as the wreckage of the Council's fleet floated in space. "We've made our stand," he muttered, "and now the galaxy will see who we are." The Galactic Council was no longer just reeling, it was in full retreat. Earth had not only survived their assault, humanity had decimated their fleet and proven that their rise was no fluke. In the wake of the battle, the galaxy watched in awe as Earth's forces, once underestimated, now commanded the respect of those who had once laughed at them. The tide had turned, and it was clear that humanity's place in the galactic order had been irrevocably altered. Commander Elias Kane stood at the command center of the Resilience, staring out into the endless expanse of space. The debris from the Council's fleet still floated in the aftermath of the battle, but the feeling in the air was different now. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity's defiance had sparked a shift, a fracture in the established order, and the Council had no idea how to recover from it. The human forces were in control of key systems, now, each one a vital piece of territory that the Council had once considered theirs by right. In just a matter of days, Earth had managed to rally a series of alliances with other oppressed species, all eager to see the Council's grip on the galaxy broken. The once unified power structure was splintering, and Earth was at the center of it all. Kane watched as alien diplomats from several factions entered the Resilience's war room, eager to discuss terms of their cooperation. The world was changing, and humanity was no longer negotiating from a position of weakness. The Council's previous influence had diminished, replaced by the dawning realization that humanity was no longer an underdog. It was a dominant force. "We've seen your power," one alien diplomat, a representative of the Chlori Confederacy, said. "We've watched your fleets turn the tide. It's clear now, the Council's time is over. We want to be on the winning side." Kane leaned forward, his voice firm. "The Council's time is over, yes. But we're not here to play a part in their downfall. We're here to change the entire game." The alien representatives nodded, sensing the gravity of the shift. Humanity's message was clear. Earth wasn't interested in the old political games. They were here to reshape the entire galaxy. And it was beginning to look like others were ready to follow their lead. The decision wasn't just political, it was personal. Humanity had felt the weight of centuries of oppression, of being pawns in a game they never understood. Now, they were ready to carve their own path, and any who were brave enough to join them would benefit. But those who remained loyal to the Council, they would find themselves swept aside, caught in the wake of Earth's revolution. As more species signed on to support Earth's cause, the Council's position became more precarious. What had once seemed like a unified front was now a crumbling empire, its former allies turning on one another as they sought to realign with the rising power of humanity. Kane knew that the real fight was just beginning. The Council wasn't going to fall without a fight. They still had resources, still had allies, albeit fewer than before. The next phase of the war would be harder and the stakes higher. But humanity was no longer afraid to face it. The days of bending the knee were over. And then, as if to remind them all of just how far humanity had come, a transmission arrived from an unexpected source: the Council's remaining fleet commanders. They wanted to negotiate. But the tone of the message was one of desperation, not diplomacy. They offered terms, but these weren't the terms of a superior force. They were the terms of a defeated one. Kane smiled darkly. "They're begging for mercy," he muttered, "but mercy isn't on the table." In a matter of hours, Earth would launch its next offensive. The goal was no longer just to survive. It was to finish what had been started. The Council had shown its true colors, and now humanity would take what was theirs: respect, power, and a seat at the galactic table. As the final preparations were made, Kane looked out over the vast expanse of space, a deep sense of purpose filling him. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for far too long. Now, they would see what it meant to face Earth's fury. The tide had truly turned, and the Council was about to learn the true cost of their underestimation. The galaxy had never been this quiet. After centuries of dominance, the Galactic Council was finally on the edge of collapse, its power fractured and its unity shattered. Humanity's relentless rise had disrupted everything, and now, as Earth's fleets advanced, the once mighty Council had no choice but to face the undeniable truth. They were losing, and losing fast. Commander Elias Kane stood at the bridge of the Resilience, watching as Earth's fleet prepared for its final assault on the heart of the Council's remaining strongholds. The fleet was vast, but the Council's numbers had dwindled in the wake of Earth's strategic victories. Their ships, once the pride of a unified galaxy, now appeared like a desperate last stand. Humanity's message had been heard. The old order was broken, and Earth had no intention of letting it be rebuilt. "Prepare to engage," Kane ordered, his voice steady, betraying no hint of the monumental significance of what was about to unfold. This would be the decisive strike, the blow that would end the war and reshape the galaxy forever. The final battle took place in the heart of the galaxy, the Council's capital system. The once glorious citadel of the Council stood as a symbol of power, but now it was a fortress on the brink of collapse. Earth's fleet, along with its new allies, moved into position, ready to deliver the death blow. The Council's remaining fleet, though formidable, lacked the cohesion it once had. The species that had been loyal to the Council were now fractured, and many had already pledged their allegiance to Earth's cause. The battle that unfolded was brutal, a chaotic clash of advanced weaponry and tactical genius. The Council's ships fought with desperation, but Earth's military had evolved beyond what they could have imagined. Kane's voice cut through the chaos, issuing commands to his fleet with precision. "Target the core systems, end this now." His words were cold, but the weight behind them was immense. This was the moment that humanity had worked toward for centuries, and it would be their defining achievement. Humanity's ships launched a barrage of focused energy blasts, shattering the core of the Council's defenses. The Resilience led the charge, cutting through the remnants of the enemy fleet like a knife through paper. The sheer speed and ferocity of Earth's forces caught the Council off guard once again, as their ships were torn apart faster than they could respond. In the aftermath of the initial wave, Kane's forces moved in for the final assault on the Council's flagship, the Immaculata. The flagship was the last symbol of the Council's power, and its destruction would signal the end of an era. As Earth's forces breached its outer defenses, the remaining Council leaders sent out one final, desperate transmission. "We surrender," the message echoed across the battlefield, as the Immaculata's systems faltered and failed. "We submit to your terms. We ask for mercy." But mercy was not what Earth had come for. Kane gave a simple nod. "Destroy it," he ordered. The Immaculata exploded in a flash of brilliant light, its destruction marking the final death knell for the Galactic Council. As the remnants of the Council's fleet fled into the void, humanity stood victorious. Earth had not only survived the war, it had emerged as the undisputed power in the galaxy. The old order was dead. The galaxy would never be the same again. Kane stood alone on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars beyond. The war had been won, but the real challenge was only just beginning. Earth was no longer a footnote in galactic history. It was the future. The Council's collapse had created a vacuum, and now humanity had to decide what kind of galaxy they would shape. "Send a message," Kane instructed, turning toward his communications officer. "Tell the galaxy we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay." As the message was transmitted, echoing across the stars, humanity's rise was solidified. The galaxy had witnessed the fall of the old order, and Earth had taken its place at the center of a new one. The war was over, but the journey had only just begun, and humanity, no longer a forgotten species, was ready to lead.